What's good, y'all? It's your guy Bendu. So I want to talk about this article that I read in the American Prospect, and it's about how debt collectors can garnish your $1,400 checks, and it's been happening. So David Dan wrote this article for the American Prospect, and as we've been hearing from the corporate media, from politicians, Democratic politicians across the board, because no Republicans voted for any type of relief at all, and that's a scandal all in itself. But we're not here to talk about Republicans. We're here to talk about the fuckery and failures of the Democratic Party. So every politician across Democratic politician across the board, from corporate blue dog Dems to progressive Democrats, so-called progressive Dems like AOC and everybody, are touting this bill. It's going to, decrease child poverty by like 40%, which I say, if you can do it by 40%, that means you can do it by more, whatever. It's going to do all these wonderful things, lift so many people out of poverty, blah, blah, blah. When the more you read into this bill, the more you hear about it, the more it sounds like the CARES Act, the more bullshit that it actually is. And this is one of those things. So I'm going to go ahead and read through a couple clippings I picked out from the article and just get my take on it. So this is from David Dan. I mentioned in last Friday's edition that the $1,400 payments can be garnished by private debt collectors who most certainly did so as the payments hit bank accounts starting over the weekend. First of all, my only advice to anyone evading a debt collector, many of whom might not know whether they have a debt judgment against them, is to take that money out of the bank as soon as it hits the account. A study from 2014 found that 1 in 3 adults have debt and collections. So the universe of people who might need to heed that advice is quite large. The bigger picture, or the bigger questions, are: why did nobody realize this until last week? What can Congress do about it now? I've been tracking this issue longer than most, going back to the first economic impact payment, the EIP, and the CARES Act, and I have to dole out blame to a lot of people, both houses of Congress, the White House, our ridiculous legislating structure, the media, and even myself. I didn't anticipate this happening because I thought it was a solved issue. And that's where this naiveness comes into play when it comes to progressives and people like David Dan. All due respect to him, I read his work, I fuck with his work, but this is the naiveness that always ends with us being fucked over, and we still haven't learned this lesson yet. And it's just weird that we keep doing this. Like, you have to stay on these people's asses. They're politicians. They lie 100 miles an hour. Everybody from fucking Mitch McConnell and Mitt Romney down to Joe Biden, all the way to Ro Khanna and AOC. They're all fucking liars. They're politicians. Politicians are naturally, by design, fucking narcissist, egomaniac liars. As Chris Hedges would say, politics literally attracts the most mediocre of us all. And we see that all the time. So I'm continuing with the article. Let's go back in time. The CARES Act included protections for its $1,200 payment from IRS garnishment or government seizure, except in the case of child support payments. So all y'all niggas out there, y'all still gotta pay. Yo, stop putting it down on the females like that, bro. Stop having these kids. You don't gotta worry about it. All jokes aside, but did not have a restriction on private debt collectors. There was language in the bill allowing the Treasury Department to write rules blocking the payments from debt collectors, but they opted not to do so. In fact, the Steve Mnuchin-led Treasury Department, I want to reiterate that fact to all you fucking Trump supporters out there who says that he drank the swamp, gave guidance to banks, enabling them to use the payments to offset existing debts from overdraft or delinquent consumer loans. This caused an outcry. Even banking industry folks rallied to tell Congress to protect the emergency payments, which was a clever move. They didn't want the increased labor cost of transferring payments to debt collectors while they keep quiet about how they could take the money. Senators Ron Wyden and Chuck Grassley introduced a bill to protect the payments last May. It passed the Senate unanimously. Unbelievably, And David Dan, why is this unbelievable to you when this comes to Nancy Pelosi? I'm going to correct this for him. Believably, Nancy Pelosi's House never passed the bill because they had included the protection languages in the HEROES Act. And I guess they wanted to keep maximum pressure on Mitch McConnell. Again, David Dan, stop giving cover to Nancy Pelosi. She did not want to put maximum pressure on Mitch McConnell. She didn't want that bill to pass because she didn't want Donald Trump to score a win that would probably have led to him winning in the election. But I digress. This is absurd since Wyden Grassley dealt with payments that were already out the door. It's unknown how many people had their payments garnished because of Pelosi's purposeful stubbornness. That's another correction I wanted to make for him. Because of Pelosi's purposeful stubbornness. But the pandemic did likely prevent one potential consequence. Debt collectors filing judgments en masse that gave them access to debtors' bank accounts, with courts mostly not open. That was likely less to happen. Fast forward to December, and the second relief bill with payments, this time $600. The protections do get into that bill. At that point, everyone, certainly me, lets their guard down. Congress, and that was your first fucking mistake. They're all politicians, megalomaniacs. You cannot just think they're going to do the right thing because they're fucking not. If you're getting millions of dollars to act on behalf of the fucking establishment, nigga, you're going to be susceptible to corruption. I know I will. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I won't. I know I will. Especially at me, when and this is what people don't understand. Money corrupts. Every man has a price, and that's the problem with progressives. And what's his name? Matt Stoller kind of touches on this. A lot of progressives and a lot of left-leaning people are very naive. Particularly the ones who ride this progressive movement are very naive, and they're pretending like every person doesn't have a price. We only pretend like Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi and these people have prices, where it's like, oh, AOC doesn't take corporate money, so she can't be corrupt. Like, what? What? One, did you even look into that? Because she's taking money from Google, Apple, all these fucking tech companies. But then two, even if she wasn't, even if that's true, and I have not gotten a single person to disprove that yet, even if that wasn't true, then please explain to me, it's even worse that she's doing the bidding of the establishment and not taking money, because again, as the late great Heath Ledger said, if you're good at something, never do it for free. And trust me, AOC is good at being willfully corrupt, not accidentally corrupt. She's doing this for her career, but it's not just about AOC. It's about politicians overall. You cannot trust these motherfuckers. Trusting a politician is like trusting a fucking banker with your money, which we do on an everyday basis with banks. But it's like trusting a junkie with your medicine cabinet. It's not going to end well. Congress figured out that if you send out emergency checks, you have to code it so debt collectors can't siphon the money off. Problem solved. They did not figure that out because they're willfully corrupt. Except the latest bill presented a problem. Budget reconciliation has special rules where everything must have a budgetary impact. Protecting the public's money from private debt collectors wouldn't qualify. Yeah. Ironically, the thing that wouldn't qualify is something that would actually fucking help the people and ensure that they get that money. So you do this budget process, you put the stimulus checks through the budget process as a budgetary, something that has a budgetary impact, but you don't. So people not getting that money wouldn't have. So the whole point is supposedly for this money to go to the people. So if you know that that debt collectors can go and take people's fucking money, like if the whole idea is to get people relief, wouldn't you put that? Isn't that a budgetary impact? I would say it is, but these Congress people don't think like that because they're corrupt, especially the Democratic Party, who are in bed with the debt collectors and shit like that. So in my opinion, this is by design, in my opinion, so they can stiff as many people as they can. So the Senate had to leave that part out. At that point, where a few options. They could try to pass Wyden Grassley again, as they did unanimously in the past, but they'll probably have a problem with that because Republicans aren't going to vote for that shit. To protect all future economic, maybe Grassley might. That might be the only one they get. I can see a Mitt Romney and a Josh Hawley maybe as well, but they're not going to get what they need. To protect all future economic impact payments, they could ask the House. Shit, you might even get Joe Manchin and fucking Kristen Sinema that won't vote for this, and Kristen Sinema might start twerking as she she fucking votes down for protections on the check. She might start twerking while she's doing it. They could ask the House to pass that bill to put pressure on the Senate. They could ask the White House to highlight the issue. Joe Biden's like not going to do that. He's partially sleep most of the day, or he doesn't remember where the fuck he is. Maybe work with banks and debt collectors to prevent it, because you guys already have that established relationship already. You know, you take money from them to fuck people over like this. So how about you just ask for like a little leeway this time? You know, because the Justice Dems are good at begging. How about you guys go beg good old Uncle Joe to make sure, you know, they don't take the little bit of help you're giving us? How about you do that? Fight for that. They'll probably fight for that. They'll force the vote for that. They'll force the vote for begging, but they won't force the vote to fight. Instead, none of this happens. The Senate passes their bill with unprotected payments. It's not until March 8th, the day before, ironically, I corrected it again for him. Ironically, the day before House passage, that interest groups and the banking industry bring this to light. The House doesn't react. Just passing the Senate bill. The White House could have held up the payment delivery until Congress passes language protecting the payments, but Uncle Joe doesn't. He didn't want you to have $2,000, so he more than likely doesn't want you to have $1,400. So he wants as many people to get it stripped from them as possible because he serves the people who are doing the robbery. That is the real looting. Bankers and debt collectors are the real fucking looters in this fucking country. So this shit is like this all this bullshit about, you know, we care about the people that comes from the Democratic. They don't care, and this is proving it. Because the way a debt judgment works is that as soon as money fills a targeted account, debt collectors can drain it. But instead, the IRS speeds through to start sending the money through direct deposit on the weekend. Wyden, meanwhile, announced on March 9th that he will be introducing standalone legislation to ensure families receive their much-needed relief payments. It's March 15th, and it hasn't been introduced. My sources in the Senate tell me that Wyden's building support for the bill, but we're way too late here. Those with judgments have likely already been dinged or will be soon. Wells Fargo and JP Morgan Chase's delay until Wednesday on these payments is actually a good thing in this context, but if Congress reaches a solution by then. But only if Congress reaches a solution by then. The only thing a legislative fix helps now is preventing a flood of new judgments, which is more possible under the relaxed environment of the pandemic. So we all failed, as usual. The media and the interest groups didn't raise the issue soon enough because you guys are fucking willful, naive idiots that are too trusting of politicians, the most dishonest people on the fucking planet, and American politicians who are the most dishonest out of all those dishonest people. Great job. This is our fucking media. It's almost as if they're bought and corrupted. The Senate waited too long to make this a priority, again on purpose. The House has completely checked out because they're too busy giving Biden a fucking hand job. You know, they're getting it wet. They're doing the little motions for this fucking bill that's going to raise so many people out of poverty. Oh my God. It's a damn shame that like only Republicans can see through this shit and right-leaning conservative people can see through this shit. And they're doing it for partisan reasons, however. But only they're the only ones raising this issue. And progressives like me, Jimmy Dore, Graham Elwood, shit like that. And Rising as well. I have to throw Sagar and Crystal in there as well. So, but the White House was more interested in showing efficiency than protecting the payments. There's an undercurrent of commentary about how the Biden win brought competency back to Washington. The guy who hasn't done a single press conference because he can't speak a fucking word without saying something either offensive or just flat out dumb is bringing competency back to the White House. Okay. So what they and again, this is I like David Dane's work, but it's always done through this naive lens, and it's getting to the point where like I you can't just ignore the naiveness anymore because that's what is getting us fucked over. If somebody continues slapping you in the face, are you going to sit there and say, "Huh? Well, I'm going to rely on you doing the right thing and not slap me again"? No, you're going to fucking punch that motherfucker in the face and tell him to stop. That's what you're supposed to do. Pussies do shit like this. And how there's now a moment to act in the public interest. There appears to be some residual cluelessness in DC, and millions of debtors will pay the price as usual. The poor people always pay the price. So there you have it. Not only did Joe Biden fuck you over on giving you $2,000, he's also fucking you over by feeding you to the wolves, which are the debt collectors, which are his donors. So this is why, again, I keep telling people I did not vote for Joe Biden because it's going to be shit like this, and we're going to get a worse Donald Trump in 4 years because of this motherfucker. Kamala Harris is going to get washed in the next presidential election, and in 2022, next year, the Democrats are going to get washed in the House in the House. So I'm going to go ahead and close the video out there, guys. I'm done ranting about this topic. I'm probably going to be covering more of the relief package because I've just been I like to take my time and read through things so I can make sure I'm reporting it correctly and blah, blah, blah. So just give me time to get more videos out like that out. I might be getting out this special thing. I've been literally been working on this thing for like a couple months now because it's like a lot of dense information that I want to make sure I get right. And it's about green energy. So stay tuned for that. We're probably going to try and drop it Friday. And of course, don't forget, Friday, I'm going to be picking a comment from most likely this video or whatever other videos I drop this week. So make sure you comment so I can pick your comment, and I'm going to do a video like basically like, commenting or responding to your comment. So definitely emphasis on the comments. Stay tuned for Friday. I'm going to be doing a live stream. I'm going to try and see if I could get like a Streamlabs or some type of, whatever, so I can stream on YouTube, Instagram, so I can stream on everything at once. So definitely follow on Instagram because that's if that doesn't end up panning out, I want that show to be focused for Instagram. So go follow the American Autopsy Instagram. Go subscribe to the American Autopsy Odyssey page, and as well, if you can, I'm not telling you to do it, but if you can, donate some library tokens there to help support the show. It's greatly appreciated. You guys have been doing a good job tipping the videos. I really appreciate it, and I love y'all for that, bro. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and close it out there officially. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.